It's Math with Matthew. So go kick off your shoes. Increase your worldview. It's Math with Matthew.
On this episode, we welcome Jennifer Salmon, Karen Lococo, Donna Foley, Danielle Boucher, Adam Belzani, and Christy Harvey. And now, your host, Chelmsford's Mathematics Coordinator, Dr. Matthew Baron.
X equals 3.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Welcome to our second episode of Math with Matthew. I'm Dr. Matthew Bayranovan, the Mathematics Department Coordinator for the Chelmsford Public Schools. On this episode, we're going to focus all things with our middle school. On our first episode, we focused on our high school mathematics, and in our third show this spring, we're going to focus on our elementary mathematics. For those of you who watched our first show, you'll know that I overused two words, excellent and mathematics, and I'll promise try not to do that on this one. So really our show is tailored to the parents and the community. However, I have a little something that I want to share for the students who are watching this show. These are some math-related excuses that you can use for not turning in your homework. The first is that you accidentally divided by 0 and your paper immediately shredded.
2 plus 2 equals 7 divided by 0. Oh wait, I can divide by 0.
Next is that you had too much pi and you got sick.
And the area of the circle is pi r squared. Boy, am I hungry.
And finally, you have a solar calculator, but it was cloudy outside. On this episode, we're going to begin focusing on our new mathematics curriculum at the middle school level with Mrs. Salmon and Mrs. Lococo. On our second segment, we're going to be joined with our middle school math coach, Mrs. Foley. On our third segment, we're going to learn about the mathematics program Study Island with Ms. Boucher. And on our final segment, we're going to learn about the flipped classroom with Mr. Felzani and Ms. Harvey. First, let's take a minute to meet all of our teachers at the middle school level. Okay, let's get started. Last year, we adopted a new middle school math curriculum called Big Ideas. We're beginning using this program in 6th grade this year, and we'll be transitioning to the program in 7th and 8th grade soon. We're joined today by two of our 6th grade teachers, Mrs. Salmon and Mrs. Lococo. Mrs. Salmon teaches 6th grade math and science at Parker Middle School. This is her 5th year teaching at Parker. Prior to teaching at Parker, she taught 2nd grade at South Row Elementary School for 6 years. She has a master's degree in educational leadership and is completing her CAGs in reading and language in June. Mrs. Lococo also teaches 6th grade math and science at McCarthy Middle School. This is her 14th year in the position. She has an undergraduate degree in psychology and education from Merrimack College and a master's degree from Fitchburg University. Let's welcome them onto the show. Hi, Jen. Hi.
How are you?
Thanks so much. Hi, Karen. Thank you both so much for coming on today and sharing with us a little bit of information about our new math program, Big Ideas.
Absolutely.
Jen, can you tell me a little bit about why we have a need for a new math curriculum at the middle school?
In the past, our old program was aligned to the Mass state standards, and because this year we were adopting the Common Core, we had to look at different programs and see which one of those programs met those standards and was aligned to it.
So can you tell me, Karen, about how is Big Ideas different philosophically from our previous program?
The previous curriculum, we had 13 chapters that we needed to cover in 8 months. It was very fast-paced because there were many more standards that we had to meet with the old set of standards. This year, with adopting the new Common Core standards, the Big Ideas program, we have less standards to cover, so we have more time for in-depth learning.
So with the previous standards in Massachusetts, there were a lot more concepts we had to cover, and the curriculum accommodated for that. With the new Common Core standards, there's less that we have to cover, but in more detail, and this program accommodates that.
Exactly.
Is that correct?
Correct.
Great. So how do the Common Core standards differ from the previous standards, Jen?
They're definitely more detailed. Students are expected to not only understand the process, but be able to apply it, interpret it, use what they're learning on real-world problems, whatever it may be. So it's definitely a deeper understanding.
And how have the students responded to this new curriculum?
It's definitely more of a challenge. There are higher level thinking questions, more logical questions, but they've adjusted. They've adjusted to the new routines. They're really enjoying the hands-on activities as well as the online component.
Great. Well, what we're going to do now is we're going to take a look and learn more about that Big Ideas program. And when we return, we're going to be joined by 2 of Mrs. Salmon's students to get their perspective on Big Ideas.
Welcome to the Big Ideas Middle School Math Series, written by Ron Larson and Lori Boswell. Big Ideas Math is a series which reflects the goal of the Common Core state standards to narrow and deepen the understanding of concepts taught at each grade level. Common Core includes not only the content standards, but also the mathematical practices. These are habits of mind that help to develop successful math students and have been embedded throughout the books to encourage students to think and learn math in different ways. Big Ideas Math has a balanced approach to instruction. This means your child will have equal exposure to activities and direct instruction. Through this balanced approach in teaching math, students are provided the conceptual building blocks that develop understanding. To help students when they are away from school, BigIdeasMath.com provides numerous online resources. Once at the homepage, click on the Student tab, then choose your textbook to open the Dynamic Student Edition. Students should select the chapter and specific lesson that they are studying. Interactive activities, lesson tutorials, and selected answers are a few of the resources available. Useful information and resources are also available on the Parents tab. Big Ideas Math was designed to prepare today's students for the 21st century, for jobs and careers that have yet to even be created.
We are now joined by 2 6th grade students from Parker Middle School, Isha Mukherjee and Isaac Blanchett. Welcome to the show, kids.
Hi.
So tell me, how do you like math class?
It's good.
Yeah, is it your favorite subject?
Yeah. It's a close second with science, but it's tied pretty much.
Excellent. And Isha, what about you? How's math class going
I
this
love
year?
math. It's really going good.
Great, great. So tell me, what types of things are you learning about? What concepts are you studying this year in 6th grade?
We're learning more about mean, median, mode than we were able to in previous grades.
Great. What else? Isha, what else are you learning
We're
about?
definitely doing more ratios and proportions than we ever did in the past years.
And what about word problems? Are you doing a little more word problems than previous?
Yeah. Usually it's just like usually one or two and then like 30 problems altogether, but it's a lot more now.
So thank you so much, you two, for coming on the show, and Ms. Lococo, Mrs. Salmon, for coming on as well. Before we bring in our next guest, the district math middle school coach, Mrs. Foley, let's get an inside look to some of the math classes at the middle school level.
That's an angle. And remember, I want angles, not angels.
Welcome back. It's time to learn a little bit about the math contest that we have at the middle school, as well as the leveling process. We are going to be joined by Mrs. Donna Foley, our mathematics coach. Mrs. Foley has worked for the Chelmsford Public Schools for 39 years. She is a Lowell State and UMass Lowell graduate who has taught 7th to 12th grade in Chelmsford and at UMass Lowell. She most recently retired as the math coordinator for Chelmsford in June 2010 and is presently working as the grades 5 through 8 math coach. Donna was recently inducted into the Chelmsford Alumni Hall of Fame. Welcome to the show, Donna Foley. Thanks so much for coming on.
Great to be here.
So Donna, can you start by telling us a little bit about the math contest that we run at the middle school level?
Sure, I'd be happy to. All of the students participate in the Continental Math League and also the New England Math League. The Continental Math League is run, students take 6 questions, 5 months, and they're very challenging questions. They have 30 minutes to complete those. And then the New England Math League is only given once a year. It's given generally the end of February, the beginning of March for grades 6 through 8, and in April for the 5th grade. And those are multiple choice questions. Both of these provide a lot of opportunities. The Continental Math in the fact that the questions give us great teaching moments. Because they're out of the curriculum, it forces the students to apply their knowledge, and it gives the teachers an opportunity to go over non-routine questions with them. The multiple choice questions are great because at that point in time we don't have a lot of opportunities to practice those. Students are allowed to use a calculator on those, but we find that the students can actually solve the problems a lot simpler without the calculator.
Thank you. I know
You're
a lot of
welcome.
people have been asking about those contests that we run. That was a great explanation. So the math leveling begins at grade 7. Could you explain for us the process that we use to place students in the appropriate level beginning in 7th grade?
Be happy to. In 7th grade, all of the 7th grade teachers have spreadsheets on their students. They have a lot of data on their students. They have the students' previous MCAS scores all the way through. They have their grades for the term. They have their Continental Math. They have the New England Math League scores. They have how they rate them for homework, also attitude, and enthusiasm for mathematics. And then they work very hard to try to predict where the students will be successful. In 7th grade, we actually have 4 levels of math. We have an honors algebra class where students skip a full year of mathematics, very challenging. We have an accelerated pre-algebra class. We have an average class for students, and we also have a class that we offer that has support for students. The students might be below grade level or struggle. The teachers try to recommend a class that's very challenging for the student but not overwhelming, because math frustration can lead to problems and students turn off.
Now, if a student is not chosen for the honors program beginning in 7th grade, does that exclude them from ever being in the honors program?
No, it doesn't. We actually retest for honors at the end of the 8th grade too, in the spring of the 8th grade. So students, and even if students don't go into the honors program starting in the 9th grade at the high school, there are opportunities. We don't have tracks. What we have are levels of math, and students can move from one level to another, sometimes during the year and certainly from year to year.
And now tell us about your role transitioning from being the math coordinator to the middle school math coach. How's that going?
It's going great. I love the job. I have such talented teachers that I get to work with. The middle school curriculum, as you know, is changing with the Common Core. So my role now as a math coach is to support them. One of the recent things, we had benchmark testing that we did. And as we have Math with Matthew, we did data with Donna. So what we did was we looked at all of the data for the benchmark testing. And at that point in time, we made some decisions about students that might be struggling with certain concepts. But it's also nice to get to research things for teachers or help out with students in classes as well.
Thank you. This is
You're
great.
welcome.
Very informative.
Great.
Up next, we're going to be exploring the online program Study Island with Ms Boucher. But let's first take a moment to learn a little bit about the Study Island programming.
Study Island is an instructional and diagnostic tool that helps students master their state standards and prepare for standardized tests. Each state has its own unique set of standards, and teachers and principals are held accountable for students mastering those standards. We research every state's set of standards and build every product from the ground up, so the products are extremely customized. Study Island has been built with students and teachers in mind. The program is engaging and very easy to use. All that's needed is an internet connection. It can be used in a classroom or computer lab, or from home, or on the go on a mobile device. It's available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Students log into Study Island using unique usernames and passwords, and then they are instantly guided to their instructional learning path. Students go through lessons and test sessions which correspond specifically to state standards. Their test sessions can include games too. Students love the games. They have to answer the assessment question correctly in order to play the game, so the games provide incentive to master the material. Each game segment only lasts about 10 seconds, so it's just enough to keep them really engaged in their learning.
Welcome back. We're now going to be joined by Ms Boucher to learn about Study Island in Chelmsford. Ms Boucher is in her 5th year as a mathematics teacher for the Chelmsford Public Schools. She graduated from Westfield State University with a Bachelor of Arts in Mathematics. She recently got her master's degree in education. A former figure skating star, Ms Boucher grew up attending the Chelmsford Public Schools and now is currently teaching 7th grade math at McCarthy Middle School. Welcome to the show, Danielle.
Hi.
Hi, thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
We saw in the introduction video some information about Study Island in general, but can you tell us about how it's impacting your class?
Yep, Study Island is a great instructional tool that's new to me this year. I've been trying to bring my students down to the computer lab once a month to have them work on assignments from Study Island. I've also been assigning homework with Study Island questions. It's a great resource for me as a teacher because all the students are going to be assessed on the standards that are being addressed on Study Island. So it helps me see where my students are at and what I need to do to help improve their grades if they're struggling on a specific standard.
Now, I know you hold individual conferences with your students based on the data you get from Study Island. Can you tell us a little bit about why you do that?
Yes, I did this with a few of my classes. During December, my students took a winter benchmark assessment like all the other 7th grade students did, and I believe all the middle school students as well. The students, when they finished, they could see their score, but they weren't able to see what questions they got wrong. So I had a few students ask me, can I see what questions I got wrong? And I was like, oh, you can come after class and I'll go over it with you. But before you knew it, I had about 20 students asking me. So I booked the computer lab the week before vacation, and with a few of my students, I brought them down. I had them work on an assignment, and as they were working on it, I had students come up individually, and I could go over the complete test that they took with them. And it was really great because I could see what questions they got wrong, which helps me out as a teacher, but also I could see if they just made a silly mistake. They're like, oh no, like it was -3, not +3, so it was just a simple error. I think they found it beneficial, and I did as well too. So.
And I think that's a great strategy to do. That's great. So you took a course this summer on the Universal Design for Learning, which is a big part of the Chelmsford Public Schools. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I signed up for this course to help improve my teaching. UDL is all about teaching so that all your students can learn. I learned new teaching strategies and different techniques to incorporate in my classroom, so I've been trying to do that each week. I've been doing it by incorporating technology. I've been making lessons with PowerPoints. I've been trying to play some math songs, making choice assignments. I've been trying to rewrite my tests and quizzes, making them more UDL friendly, which makes more space. Sometimes I give choices on my tests and quizzes. And I find it, as a teacher, I enjoy teaching more when I have a UDL lesson coming up, and I also think my students enjoy coming to math more too. So I hope that in the end that I am helping meeting the needs of all my students.
Now, how does this universal design for learning correlate with Study Island?
Yeah, Study Island is another way to engage my students. It's using technology, students are engaged, so it's just another way to help meet the needs of my students.
Thank you. In a minute, we're going to be joined by two of Ms Boucher's students, but right now they're doing their math homework. Let's take a look in and seeing them doing their math homework.
So boring doing our math homework this way. There has to be a better way.
Oh, I know. I mean, we have to do all these problems, and most of our worksheets are double-sided. It's really, really frustrating.
Yeah, and it's like 30 problems a night. It takes us so long.
What if we were able to do it on a beach, a nice warm beach where it was warm? Oh, yeah, on a nice warm island.
That'd be nice. And what if we could do it on computers, too?
And have the ability to play games.
Now this is the way to be doing math work.
I know, right? Math on the iPad with Study Island, there's no way you can go wrong there.
This program is way easier than doing paperwork.
Oh, definitely. Whoa! Guess what? I just earned my second blue ribbon in a row.
Really? I just got the new high score in the dirt bike game.
Now that's pretty cool.
Yeah, this is the life.
I don't know. What better way to be learning math than to be studying on an island?
Welcome back. We are now joined by those two math students of Ms Boucher's, Lindsay Smith and Brian Tong. Welcome to the show. How you doing? Hey, Brian.
Hey.
I'm so sorry to have taken you guys away from your math homework on the island, but we do need to learn a little bit about Study Island from a student's perspective, so thank you guys for coming on the show.
You're welcome.
So can you tell me a little bit about Study Island and how it is used in your math class this year?
Yeah, well, we do a warm-up every time when we go to math class, and she sometimes chooses like 2 problems from the Study Islands questions that we've done, and we have to figure those out for the warm-up.
And how else was it used, Brian?
Well, over the summer, we had Study Island as our summer math, and we used those, and we had different sections that we had to do over the course of the summer.
So what are the benefits, from your perspective as students, of using Study Island? Lindsay?
Well, it makes the class more fun and entertaining because it's way better than paperwork because you can use technology and it's way easier too.
Great. And what about you, Brian?
I feel it's a good reinforcement tool to keep going over the stuff that we learn in class, but have it electronically so that it's more fun and kids have more fun using Study Island than doing paperwork.
Great. Thank you all for taking the time on the show and sharing your use of Study Island. Ms. Cohane, an 8th grade teacher at Parker School, is now going to present to you a problem, and it'll be your job to figure out the answer to that problem. And we'll be right back with the flipped classroom.
Hello, this is Ms. Cohane, 8th grade teacher at Parker Middle School, here to present a math problem. On Monday, a student is very excited to use Study Island and has a great time exploring the site and learning with fun math activities. That same student is out sick on Tuesday, but his math skills continue to sharpen with Study Island. The student tells his friend Wednesday, and that night there are 2 students using Study Island. Thursday came, they both spread the word, and there are 3 students using Study Island that night. When Friday rolls around, they keep telling more and more people about Study Island. That night, there are 5 students using Study Island. Over the weekend, the word keeps spreading like crazy, and 8 students use it Saturday. And 13 students visit Study Island on Sunday. Now see what you can figure out. 1, if this pattern continues, how many students will be using Study Island on Monday? 2. How do you find the next number in the pattern? 3. What is the name of the pattern?
If you know the answer to the 3 questions posed by Ms. Cohane, please send me an email. We'll be selecting a winner from all the correct responses. We are now joined by Mr. Falzani and Ms. Harvey to learn about the flipped classroom. Mr. Falzani has been teaching 6th grade math and science in Chelmsford for 7 years. He's a double eagle with undergraduate and master's degrees from Boston College. He is currently working on a CAGS degree at Fitchburg State University, where his capstone project revolves around the flipped classroom. Ms. Harvey has been teaching special education at McCarthy for 12 years. Originally from Tennessee, Christy has a bachelor's degree from Tennessee Technological University and a master's degree from Lesley University. She is currently working towards a CAGS degree in special education administration at American International College. Christy and Adam have been co-teaching math together for 2 magical years. Welcome both to the show. Hi, thank you.
Thank you.
Adam, thanks so much for coming on the show. So, as I mentioned in your introduction, you're beginning your 2nd year together as co-teachers. Christy, how does it work having 2 teachers in the class together?
Oh, it's great. We have so much fun. Co-teaching can take many different forms. Most typically for us, one of us is teaching while the other is supporting, monitoring the student's progress, asking clarifying questions. Sometimes, however, we break into small groups, and Adam will have one group in a classroom and I'll have another group in another classroom. It allows us to work more individually with the students. We have a lot of fun with it.
Thank you. So tell me about this flipped classroom, Adam. What does it mean to have a flipped classroom?
Well, it's not as crazy as the name might imply. You take a typical classroom and you start with a lecture, and then you have time for questions, and then if there's time, you have the students start guided practice. And what if time runs out? Then they would do it for homework. So more often than not, more often than I think we want to admit, that when the students go home for that homework portion, they get stuck and they don't have any resources or help. So what you do is you flip it. You take all your lecture time and you record it, and you have them watch that for homework. And then when they come to class, you start with any questions, and then you immediately have a huge chunk of time for guided practice. So if they do get stuck, it's in front of us where we can get them unstuck, and they just succeed more. I mean, there's more time to actually succeed.
So you say they succeed more. Christy, can you tell me a little bit about the students' response to this idea of using a flipped classroom?
Yes. Well, anytime we bring technology into education, the kids are excited and motivated by that. So just merely knowing that they're going home to do something on the computer versus on paper is very motivational. They also really appreciate the opportunity to practice with us versus, like Adam said, getting home and feeling stuck. I don't remember what happened in class. There's also the benefit that they can rewatch that video if they are stuck when they get home. Mm-hmm. It's always available for them to revisit.
Great. Thank you, Adam and Christy, for sharing with us the information on the flipped classroom. Let's take a minute now and preview our next show, taking a look at our elementary math classes. Well, that's the end of our show. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'd like to thank all of our guests here today, CTM, Tom Peterson and the boys back at the high school studio, and my friends at Inside CPS. We'll see you for our next show on our elementary mathematics within the Chelmsford Public Schools. Thanks.